So welcome to the Loads More session. The first one we've done as a broadcast, the first one that we've done recording, and the recording will be put out in our Facebook group and probably just in our Facebook group and potentially on my YouTube channel. That sounds like a cunning plan as well. So I thought about who I should interview first and who I would like to interview first. And Elton John wasn't available, so I have gone with the man who I should and would like to interview, which is Jay Blake. Why should I? Because he's a lovely bloke, because he knows his stuff, because he's got an interesting thing to talk about, and because he's nice enough to provide Remo for us to use for Laptop Mondays. So it's a little bit of a quid pro quo to talk about his latest venture. And why I'd like to, is because I always have a good conversation with Jay and do that regularly, I'm pleased to say. And the only issue is going to be keeping it to 10 minutes, because we could easily do an hour and a half, but we've just had a little chat and agreed we're not going to do that. So Jay Blake, welcome.
Thank you.
You have the best job title in the world, which is Village Chief.
I do.
The village of which you are chief is My Digital Village, not My Digital Village.
It is your no, but therein lies the point. It is your digital village. The moment you say its name.
So let me give you carte blanche and give us, maybe, I know you could do an hour, but do a minute on what is My Digital Village.
My Digital Village provides a place for you to belong. It is a place that is, what I love about our conversations, and thank you, Mark, it's always great to talk, but what I love about our conversations is that each time we're in a very different place. So the first time we had this conversation, you would say to me, well, why, how, and what are the benefits, etc. And I would paint you a picture. We're no longer there. We are now in a situation where My Digital Village is a village within the digital space, so it can be accessed from anywhere in the world. And it currently contains over 20 shops. It contains the Welcome Inn, the view that you see behind me is the view out of the Welcome Inn onto the high street. And it also includes a village hall. So it provides a social gathering space. It provides a more business-like gathering space. And it provides a place for people who have businesses and want other people to hear about them to be present and to be able to share their message.
Okay, as a man who lives in a village, not a million miles from you, I get that. And having that available digitally is something I also sort of get, but I want to get it a bit more. So I know that I can join, and I can join as a villager. I can join as a shopkeeper, and I can join as an ambassador. So I think in a way that is a sort of a pyramid. You expect far more villagers than shopkeepers and far more shopkeepers than ambassadors. So let's start at the bottom of the pyramid. If I'm a villager, how do I try it out? What does it cost me? What's my commitment? And more importantly than all of those things, what do I get?
Okay. Let's start with the pounds, shillings, and pence part. So if you wanted to dip your toe in and you only wanted to commit for a month, it'll cost you probably a couple of English pints. So it's just under £10 to join for a month. If you actually want to see whether it'll work for you, my suggestion is get the value out of it. And for £5 a month, you can join. Effectively, 20 quid gets you 4 months. And means that you've really come into the village, given it a chance to grow, because the high street has been open just over a week. And so we're absolutely in growth phase at the moment. We're encouraging people to come in and make use of the village hall and of the Welcome Inn. And we're putting on a range of different events. And you always beautifully ask me the same question, and I always beautifully tell you that you're asking the wrong question, because it is absolutely about everybody getting massive value from being a villager and from being a part of the village. But it is primarily about what people bring to it, because it's what they bring to it that enables them to get more. And every time you ask me the question, the answer is different. So we've recently gained a haberdashery And we've got a number of different crafts people that are coming together. So there will be a number of craft events going on. We're having conversations with somebody that would normally go to farmers markets. So I'm actively looking for other people who would normally be at farmers markets so that we can have a virtual farmers market in the village. So what you get from the village is constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly increasing. And what you get today will be different from what you get tomorrow. And as every villager joins, that will improve and get better.
And that's sort of like a real village, but in a much more condensed timescale. You know, in the village that I live in, there used to be a Chinese restaurant. Now there's an Italian restaurant. You know, things change. Clearly, the use of the village hall in my village, not really happening right now, pandemic-wise. But hey, so you spoke about the shops in the high street there. So firstly, as a villager, if there's a shop, I know there's a shop selling artwork like the image behind you.
Yes.
I'm going to use the phrase, if I go into that shop, what am I experiencing? And if I am the shopkeeper, am I aware that somebody's in my shop? Is it an interactive thing? And if I go into that shop in 10 minutes time, but the shopkeeper's busy because they're on a Remo call, they're at Laptop Monday, how does that all
work? Okay. The simple answer is that that there are two types of shops. So if you were to go into the art shop, you'd get a different experience to any of the other shops as things currently stand, because the art shop is the only Shopify shop that is in the village at the moment. All of the rest are standard pages within the site. But the art shop gives you an example of what is possible so for people who come to the village, see the village and go, actually, I don't have a website. I'd love to sell some physical stuff. How can I make the best out of all of this? Then the people who've created My Digital Village have given us an offer that we can put out to people who want to do that. But that's a whole separate conversation. To answer your other question, we're putting on regular Meet the Shopkeeper events. So we're effectively putting on a Remo room where every shopkeeper has their own table, and the villagers can come in and wander around and meet everybody and have conversations. So it doesn't do kind of a permanent high street that is always there with you being able to walk in and interact at that level as we currently see it. Who knows what it'll look like in years to come. But at the moment, it gives you a place to be, an opportunity to explain what it is you do, point people at your website, but more importantly, to gather people together when we do Meet the Shopkeeper events. And depending on what your shop sells, there'll be other events that are appropriate to you as well.
Okay, and I was going to say, depending on what you Laptop Monday event right now are a bunch of people who each run their own businesses. Just thinking offhand from the people I saw before we started, none of them have. There's a marketing man and a business mentor and a social media guru and whatever else. Could and should they have a shop? If we use the
absolutely
word, I hate doing the air quotes.
Yeah. But no, they absolutely should. And we've got almost a number of people in those sorts of spaces who have got shops. So we're not a BNI group. We're not a one shop only per type, but clearly equally, we don't want 13 of all the same shop in the village either. So there's a balance to be had. But absolutely, they should have a shop. And what they can do off the back of having a shop clearly is to put on events that are appropriate to them within the village. So if we've got a social media specialist and they want to put on a morning of social media, then that's great. If Laptop Monday eventually became a regular event that happened in the village, then equally fantastic. So it's all about so most certainly and certainly having a shop that enables people to sort out wills would be a very sensible thing to be able to find in the high street, he says, as he looks down at the attendees list.
Okay, so if I have a shop running, doing wills, and somebody goes ting-a-ling because they've opened the shop door, and I really hope there's a ting-a-ling as they open the shop in the village. but busy. He's he's talking to a client, he's whatever. How does that bit work?
It points him at his website, and also connects him with his social media stuff.
Okay.
So it works in that way. And I mean, it would be perfectly. I've suddenly thought, having not thought about it before, but it'd be perfectly easy for me to share my screen and walk you down the high street. But I might do that a little later if anybody would like to experience that in one of the tables.
Okay, and before we close, because I do like to stick to the 10 minutes if we can, which clearly, given your propensity to talk and my propensity to talk even more than you, is remarkably unlikely. Ambassadors. What's an ambassador? I mean, clearly they eat Ferrero Rocher chocolates, but apart from that, what's an ambassador?
An ambassador is somebody who's as passionate about the village as I am. It's somebody who wants to put on events within the village, as well as have a shop, as well as be a part of the village. And what we've done is simply taken all of those three things, put them together in a package, and with a view to finding people that will help me and help the village to become what we all want it to be. So it's a way of getting totally immersed in what the village is about, and helping to spread the word.
Cool. I really hope that the people listening to this have become more educated about what My Digital Village is. They understand a bit better about why they should be a villager or a shopkeeper. Mm-hmm. I doubt that many people start by being an ambassador, but a chat with you might well change that opinion. So,
and I think the one interesting thing to just leave a hook there in terms of the shops. And again, I love it because it frustrates the business coaches out there. Is that the way I run the shops is entirely different. So there is an admin cost for setting one up, but it's then purely based on whether the shop is successful as to whether it costs you any more.
Okay.
So it's not high risk. It's very, very low risk in terms of cost. So it's there's a £70 admin fee, and then a year from now we have a chat about it and we say, okay, well, what is that delivered into your business? And if it's not delivered anymore, then it doesn't cost you anymore. So actually, in terms of, is it worth giving a try? If you're the kind of business we want to have in the village, and you're adding value, and you understand why the village is how the village is, then it'll work for you. And we look forward to having that conversation, seeing how wonderfully successful it's been, and agreeing a suitable invoice for us to provide you with a year from now. But only if it's been successful.
But that's an invoice for a year going forward.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for everything that you said this morning. I feel better educated about it, and hopefully listeners do as well. There are three different sorts of people who might be listening to this. There's the ones in the Remo room right now doing Laptop Monday, and the good news for them is that we're going to wrap up. But the better news for them is that you're in the room for another 45 minutes, and very happy, I know, to take questions.
Yep.
And if people... If you're on a crowded table and people have questions, don't get the chance to ask, then they can contact you outside the meeting.
Yep.
The second group of people are in the Laptop Monday Facebook group, and they are only watching the video. They can't do a Q&A. But what they can do, when I post it in the Facebook group, I will post your contact details so they can get in touch with you, and of course a link to My Digital Village.
Perfect.
The third channel will be my YouTube channel, and potentially yours as well. And what I will certainly put in my YouTube channel, and hopefully you'll put in yours as well, is a link to the Laptop Monday Facebook group. So that if they want to get involved in Laptop Monday, they can do that. But for now, I'm going to say thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. Great to see you.
It's been a pleasure.